So, today we're diving into this really fascinating opinion piece. It's all about how a city council decision can be, well, both incredibly fast and incredibly slow, all at the very same time. How does that even work?
Okay, I want you to hold a number in your head. 30.
Yup, 30 seconds. Think about it. That's barely any time at all. You can maybe fire off a quick text message, if you're lucky. But what can a city council get done in 30 seconds? Well, according to this opinion piece from the Elliott Lake Citizen, the answer is a whole lot, actually. And that single lightning-fast decision, that's what this whole story is about. All right, so let's set the scene. It's October 27th, 2025. The City Council in Elliott Lake, Ontario is in session. And bam, they approve 4 separate items with just one vote. The whole thing over and done in less than 30 seconds. Now, how did they do that so fast? They use something called a consent agenda. It's actually a pretty common tool. The idea is to bundle all the routine, non-controversial stuff together and pass it all at once to save time. But, and this is a big but, there's a built-in safety switch. Any single council member can say, hey, wait a minute, and pull an item out for its own separate debate. So, buried in this bundle of routine items was something a little interesting, accepting the unaudited financials for the local ski hill. And the article points out that when the mayor asked if anyone wanted to discuss anything separately, crickets. No one spoke up. And just like that, it passed. This is where the author really starts to build their case. They frame it as a tale of 2 cities, but instead of actual cities, we're talking about 2 different community organizations. So let's meet city number 1, the Mount Dufour ski area. Okay, so the ski hill, it's a big deal in the community, and to help it run, it gets an annual operating grant from the city. We're talking $155,000 a year. Now, here's a number that really jumps out in the article. Based on the ski hill's own financial report for 2025, they had a net income, that's a surplus profit, of more than $208,000. You heard that right. Their surplus was bigger than the entire grant they got from the city. And this is where things get sticky. The author points out that under Ontario's Not-for-Profit Corporations Act, there are rules. If you're a nonprofit and your revenue is over a certain amount, or you get a certain amount of public funding, you're supposed to get a full professional audit, not just a quick look at the books. And apparently the ski hill hits both of those marks. The article also mentions that the council was supposedly told 2 years ago that the ski hill would get on board with this. Okay, so that's city number 1. Now, let's look at the other side of the coin. The article introduces us to city number 2, a local men's shelter called Larry's Place. Their situation was pretty different. Last fall, the shelter went to the council basically in crisis mode. They said they needed $100,000 in operating funds just to keep the lights on and the doors open. What did the council grant them? $10,000. Just a tenth of what they asked for. And that funding gap, it had very real, very immediate consequences. The shelter had to make a tough call. To save money, they announced they'd be closing during the daytime. And this was right as winter was setting in. The article really uses this to paint a picture of just how precarious their financial situation was. So, you've got these 2 pictures, right? The ski hill with its surplus and the shelter cutting hours. And this is where the author ties it all together, pointing to what they see as a major contradiction in how the city handles public money. Check out this timing, it's pretty wild. Just 12 days, not even 2 weeks, before the council rubber-stamped the ski hill's unaudited report, the city's budget committee laid down the law. They introduced brand new, much stricter rules for any community group asking for money. And guess what the big new rule was? You got it. You have to provide professionally audited financial statements. And it wasn't just some fine print. The Budget Committee Chair, Councillor Norman Mann, stood up at that meeting and made a big point of it. He's quoted as saying it's very hard for us to provide any level of support without audited statements, calling it absolutely fair and required. So that was the new line in the sand for everyone. Or was it? So let's just recap. On one hand, you've got a 30-second okay for an unaudited report. On the other, you have a brand new ironclad rule demanding audited reports from everyone else. So, what gives? Why does this even matter? What's the bigger picture here? Well, according to the author, this whole thing goes way beyond just one ski hill and one shelter and one town.
It's really about these huge universal ideas, right? Things like taxpayer accountability, fairness in how public money is spent, transparency. And that really big question, are we treating every community organization the same? Is it an even playing field?
And that leads us right to the final provocative question that the article just leaves hanging in the air. Remember when the budget chairs said that needing an audit was absolutely fair and required? The author turns that right back around and asks, is it required for everyone? Or is that rule just for city number 2? It's a powerful question, and one that people in any town might find themselves asking.